never been more important to hear from candidates about their plans to make higher education work for students. That's why we're grateful to have a special guest here today to talk about solutions she will push for to tackle some of these challenges in the U.S. Senate. So it's with tremendous honor and privilege that I introduce to you Congresswoman from Illinois 8th District and Democratic nominee for United States Senate, Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth.
Young Invincibles Action and UIC's Political Science Student Union are the two collaborators for this event. It came into fruition, I would like to say, when we decided to make higher education a priority for this election season, mainly because it is. And we decided to make sure students' voices were included in the discussion when they're voting on the Higher Education Act in 2017.
Insufficient state funding has propelled Illinois into being one of the greatest exporters of high school graduates in the entire country. So this brings me to my question. Do you support Congress doing more to incentivize states to restore funding for higher education? And if so, how would you think Congress could go about doing this?
There needs to be an understanding that investments in education is an investment in our nation. You know, I spent 23 years serving in the military, and there's no one who's a bigger defender of our nation and our nation's strength than I am.
You know, it's important for students to understand what's happening, you know, in higher education because it's impacting them directly. You know, if your school is getting less funds to operate, but tuition's going up, you're receiving less aid, well, it's going to be harder for you to get that degree. But that's something that needs to be talked about.
How can you make sure that we are informing students of every decision or of every necessary piece of information to make sure that they're making safe economic decisions and as well as with a focus on at-risk and underrepresented students?
I think that, again, incentivizing schools to keep costs down, it involves many aspects, right? It's everything from what I said earlier about making sure, from my job, which is making sure the federal government pays its bills to the states, but also working with the schools to keep those costs down. In fact, the cost of college education tuition has risen exponentially far faster than the cost of living has in this country over the last several decades. And we need to take a long, hard look at that.
Yes, she is. Yeah, she's someone I support and plan voting for. I would really like a Democratic Senate. I mean, that's the main reason. And overall, I think that she's been very progressive, and of course, her history, you know, in public service, you know, at the VA in Illinois, and also her service overseas, of course, is very inspiring.
We should set the highest standards, and the schools that can meet them will meet them, and the ones that don't need to get out of the business of trying to educate people because they don't belong.